The process I've created for making and keeping my New Year's resolutions has had a greater impact on my success than any other activity that I've done. I've done it every year for the last 5 years, and in that time, I've founded 2 additional companies, grew my existing business from a couple of us working in my house to over 50 employees in 8 different countries. And I've made it so that it's ironclad. It turns the impossible into the inevitable, and here's how. So as a quick background, I've always been a big dreamer. Ever since I was growing up, I had dreams written on my wall of being on the cover of Forbes, beating Roger Federer in a tennis match. And I'd set these big, hairy, audacious goals, these BHAGs. And in January, I would wake up 5 a.m., go hit 1,000 tennis serves a day, be all in. And then February would come around and I'd realize I was no closer to beating Roger Federer in a tennis match than I was to replacing Elon Musk as the CEO of Tesla. So I'd get discouraged, I'd quit, and then I would repeat 12 months later the same confidence destroying process once again. And I replaced it with this. Here's step 1, and it's not dreaming smaller. It's not saying, well, I don't want to beat Roger Federer or I don't want to be on the cover of Forbes. It's actually dreaming bigger, but realizing that some goals, the massive goals, are going to take decades instead of just years. Those can be things like selling a business for $10 million, buying your mom a house. Whatever it is that you have as a goal, don't dream smaller. In fact, in these 3 categories, dream bigger. Step 1 is to lengthen the event horizon. The problem is we're thinking in years and months and weeks instead of in decades. And so what happens is we set this big, hairy, audacious goal of what we want to accomplish, and we try and accomplish it in a year, and at the end of the year, we can't accomplish it and we get discouraged, and it goes down this negative feedback loop cycle. On the flip side, we say, well, I'm going to accomplish it this year. So we set our sights too low on something that we know we can accomplish this year. Taking a longer approach and saying, by the end of my life, I want to have sold a company for $100 million, or I want to have provided water for 1 million people in Africa, or I wanted to create financial freedom for my parents and all of my family members. Those are all great goals, but they typically won't be able to be accomplished in just 1 year. So as you expand your event horizon, it gives you the freedom to be able to set a financial goal, a goal for your relationships, a goal for your fitness, and a goal for the experiences that you want to have that are so beyond what you can accomplish today. And you can pursue those goals without any lack of motivation because you know, maybe I'm not going to accomplish it this year, but that's still my goal for the future. And as you go down that path, similar to going from LA to New York, you don't have to have this map that tells you every turn, every exit that you need to take. All you need to know is I'm going northeast and I'm going to see the signs that are going to direct me there. There's a quote by Steve Jobs where he says, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. So that's step 1. Dream massive by expanding your event horizon and think about over the course of your lifetime, what do you want to accomplish in terms of your financial situation, what kind of relationships you want to have, what you want your fitness and your health to look like, and what kind of experiences you want to have. All right, so step 2 is to get super granular. Now that you have this end in mind of your financial life, your fitness, your relationships, and the experiences you want to have, you have to figure out, what do I need to accomplish in the next 365 days, and who do I need to be a year from now so that I'm in the best position possible to be on track to accomplish those lifelong goals that I have. And the thing that I love about a year is it's a short enough event horizon that you can actually connect the dots looking forward for that year, but it's long enough that you can become unrecognizable to your spouse, to your personal trainer, to your accountant, because you can make significant changes. It's similar to seeing a kid being raised. You don't view that kid as who they were a year ago. When you see that kid and you haven't seen them in a year, your mind is instantly updated to when you picture them, this is who you picture. So you can connect the dots looking forward in the short amount of time of 1 year, and you can be totally different. I love the quote by Jim Rohn where he said, change the man and change his world. So you got to figure out who you need to become. And these can be things that are achievements, characteristic traits, or new views on how you see the world. So achievements can be, well, I want to have hit this sales goal. I want to have this much money in my savings account. I want to have made these investments. I want to have gotten my business to this point. For characteristic traits, it's, I want to be more gritty. I want to be harder working. I want to be smarter. Whatever those characteristic traits are that you know you're going to have to develop to accomplish what your lifelong goals are. And then new perspectives. And these ones are probably the most difficult because they're hard to define and often come from experiences that we have that shape how we see the world. So people that we can be around or experiences that we can go through. And these just come from leaning into the experiences that show up in our lives as we're in pursuit of greatness. All right, so step 3, and this is my most favorite step, and it's oftentimes the most neglected. People just say, I'm going to go and accomplish this great thing, but they don't think back into what do I have to do today, or what do I have to do for the next 90 minutes, so that 90 minutes from now, an hour and a half from now, I'm closer and on track to achieving my goals. So to do this, you take everything that you're going to accomplish for the year and the characteristic traits that you're going to develop, and you break it into a year goal, a half year goal, a quarter, a month, a week, a day, and 90-minute segments. And then as you go about planning your next day, you say, what are the activities that I need to do so that I'm on track to hit that achievement? So if you have a sales target, you can break that down to what do I need to accomplish for the next 90 minutes to be on track for my sales target? It might be a specific number of emails or calls or training that you need to accomplish. For characteristic traits, it's saying what behaviors do I need to execute on for the next 90 minutes so that at the end of this 90 minutes, I have more grit or have shown that I have a greater work ethic. What behaviors do I need to execute on for the next 90 minutes so that an hour and a half from now, I have more grit or have shown that I work harder or have greater intellect or greater compassion? And you could break those down all the way into individualized behaviors. Now there's a caveat and a pro tip here. The caveat is that people way underestimate the amount of activity, the amount of work that it's going to take to accomplish their goals. If you have this fitness goal of getting to 8% body fat and you think that going on a daily walk and not eating added sugar is going to get you there, then you're just going to be totally off at the end of the year. And so the magic here comes in doing the calculations and finding people that have done what you're trying to accomplish and then having them pressure test your plan. So if you want to get to 8% body fat, find somebody that's there, say, here's my plan, where are the holes in this plan? And then they can shoot holes in that plan, and then you can reassess and say, okay, to achieve an 8% body fat, I'm going to have to do XYZ. That's not going to be very fun. Is it actually worth it to me? Yes, it is. Okay, I'm going to move forward and I'm going to do it. The alternative is just lying to ourselves and saying, I want to be at 8% body fat, but I'm going to put in the wrong ingredients and hope that the right outcome is going to come from it. That's not the case. Our life is just a reflection of our behaviors over time. All right, step 4. And this is where you go from having a goal where it's unlikely that these things are going to be accomplished or almost impossible in your mind. And this step is what makes it unlikely or impossible and makes it inevitable. All right, so up to this point, you've extended your event horizon. You have all of the things that you want to accomplish as far as your relationships, your financial situation, your health, and the experiences that you want to have over the course of your entire life. And you've dreamed big. And then you've broken that down to who do I need to be and what do I need to have accomplished 365 days from now so that I could be best positioned to accomplish my lifelong objectives. And then you've broken that down all the way to what do I need to accomplish in 90-minute sections so that I'm on track to be who I want to be and accomplish what I need to accomplish by the end of the year. Now that you have this plan from start to finish, the hardest part for people comes down to executing the plan long enough and consistently enough to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. So here are my 12 ways that I make sure that I never fall off the wagon. And if I do fall off, how I immediately get back on, because consistency is more important than being perfect. All right, so tip 1 is to become part of an accountability group. I have a group of friends that are all building their companies in a similar stage as I am. And we set goals and publish those goals in a Google Sheet to each other every month. And if we miss on our goals, then we owe $100 into this pot. And at the end of the year, we take that pot and we go get a really nice dinner. So whoever missed their goals the most is contributing the highest percent to that dinner at the end of the year. That's going to keep you on board from the financial side, $100, but also on the pride side. You don't want to be the person that's not accomplishing your goals. Tip 2 is to make a bet with a friend. It works in a very similar way, except when you fail, you and your friend have this money that doesn't go to each other. It goes to an organization that you hate. So think about a political party that you do not want to affiliate with, or a college that is the rival of your favorite college, and you have to donate your betting money to that college or that political institution that will make you stay on track. Tip 3 is to get a coach. Think about anyone who's ever accomplished anything unbelievable. They've all had coaches that helped get them there. I've had a coach for the last 5 years. It's been a couple of different coaches that I've needed at different stages in my progression, but they've all helped keep me accountable and helped me restart and re-engage. Tip 4 is to record your progress. Every night I go in and update how I'm doing on my goals. Did I work out that day? What time did I wake up? As you go through these and just see how you're doing, it's going to keep you more accountable. So you can set a reminder on your phone, and each night when that reminder goes off, you can go into your notes section or Google Sheets and update the progress that you're making toward your goals. Tip 5, increase and decrease friction in the needed spaces. What I mean by this is when I set the goal to make it to the gym before 5 a.m. every day, those mornings came really, really early. So what I did to decrease my friction of getting to the gym and increase my friction of having my alarm go off and going back to bed is I would set my phone in the hall, I would turn my alarm on, and I would put my phone inside of my gym bag. And inside of my gym bag, I had all of my gym clothes ready to go. So when the alarm would go off in the morning, I would walk out to the hall. I'd have to turn it off. But as I would be fumbling through my bag, I finally find my phone. And by the time I turned my alarm off, I had my gym clothes in my hand. And then I set this mental rule with myself where I couldn't go to the bathroom until I was at the gym. And so the next step, once I already had my gym clothes in my hand, was not to go to the bathroom there as you do when you wake up, but to drive to the gym and go to the bathroom there. Then I'm already at the gym. I'm already in my gym clothes. I might as well work out. So you can increase or decrease friction at those things that are going to add value to your life. If you want to increase friction to take something away, let's say it's scrolling on social media, then you can go into your apps. You could delete the app. You can set a restriction so that when you do want to go and look at social media, you have to go into your phone setting, put in a password, then open up the app. Then you can start scrolling through social media. So increase and decrease friction is tip number 5. Tip 6, get your tribe to join you. It's way easier to eat clean if the person you're living with is eating clean too. It's way easier to go and achieve your goals if everyone surrounding you is also grinding for their goals. Tip 7, don't tell people what your goals are. It puts this unnecessary artificial added pressure on you, which is going to make you then feel depressed when you don't hit your goal. And being consistent at your goal is way more important than being perfect. So don't publish it. Don't put it on Facebook. Don't say, here's what I'm doing and hashtags. Just go get it and make these commitments to yourself. Tip 8, create a single go-to activity to limit spiraling. You're going to have days or weeks where you're totally off your game. You've missed your goals. You're not in sync at all. And you need to have a single activity that can reshock your system to bring you back into what it needs to be. In basketball, for me, when my shot is off, all I have to do is focus on my follow through. There's tons of things that go into a basketball shot, but if I just focus on my follow through, it seems to align and fix everything else. So for you, it could be, I just need to get a workout in, or I just need to wake up early, or I just need to journal, or I just need to take this cold plunge. And that's going to be enough to shock my system to get me back on track. Tip 9, and we've talked about this, it's to think in decades and not in weeks and months, and for sure not in 75 days. I hate 75 hard because people try and be perfect and then they get to the end and have these ups and downs and ups and downs. And it oftentimes looks like this. They keep going further and further and further down. So don't try and be perfect, and realize that when you mess up, well, your goal wasn't just a 3-month goal anyways. Your goal was what you wanted to accomplish for your lifetime. And so if you eat the food that you don't want to eat, the next day, you don't have to say, well, I've already screwed up. I've already messed up. I'm not going to hit my 3-month goal. It's not a 3-month goal. It's a lifelong goal. So what am I going to do today to be on track for that? Tip 10, and this is my number one most favorite, and it's because it re-engages my intention every day. I've written out exactly what I want to accomplish in the life that I want to have, and I go through a visualization process each day to think about what that life is going to look like, and I experience the emotions of having that life. And that is enough to fuel me through the day. And once that motivation is gone, I can remotivate myself by re-engaging that intention the next day through that same visualization process. Tip 11 is to connect your self-worth to your behavioral adherence and not the outcomes. There's a great story by Jeff Bezos that highlights this, where he's being interviewed and the interviewer asks him, how are you feeling? Like, the stock market has doubled in the last year and Amazon stock is crushing it. How do you feel about that? And Jeff Bezos responds and says, I don't allow my emotions to get tied up in these external results. If the stock market's doing twice as good, it doesn't mean I'm twice as smart or worked twice as hard, because the opposite also has to be true. If the stock price cuts in half, I don't think, man, I'm half as good of a CEO as I used to be. The stocks will go up and down. The outcomes will be variable of things that are sometimes outside of your control. So if you can tie your self-worth to the behaviors that you need to execute on and not the outcomes, then you'll be able to sustain yourself longer and longer and have a higher degree of foundational confidence. All right, the last tip, and this one comes from Nike: just do it. At the end of the day, there's going to be times where you don't feel like it. You never feel like waking up at 4 a.m. It just sucks every single time. You never feel like jumping into the cold plunge. You never feel like making that sales call. So when you don't feel like it, remember that no one else feels like doing it either. And this is what's going to separate you from all of the competition. Every time you have a hurdle, you're thinning the herd because somebody else just gave up and you're still pushing. So in those moments where you don't feel like it, just do it.